Hello. Let me start out by saying that I have nothing to sell you. In fact, let me start out with this question. What can I do for you? So I'm going to start with a little bit of story about myself, ongoing, a little bit about my life. So several years ago, I was a part of the Idaho National Guard. Worked full time as a federal technician between here and Mountain Home. Help manage and perform maintenance on a tank range, which ate up a lot of my time. So after about 9 years in the military, I was fed up of being a soldier. I was tired, didn't like the work, didn't really like the company, and felt like it wasn't for me. So I decided to leave. Apart from a variety of other issues going on in my life, several of them medical, mostly personal, which I am happy to share, but not openly on camera. I left the Army on a medical discharge. And anyone who knows or has been through that process knows that it takes some time. Usually being processed out of the military takes about a year. Went through all the correct steps, did it for the right reasons, and was able to get out about a year. Now, on the day that I left, it was a bit of an interesting week because when I was finally chaptered out or finally left the Army, so to speak, I was working out of an office, and that entire week we had been listening to COVID stories shutting down the world. And my last day was literally coming into the office at about lunchtime. Our first sergeant saying, well, shutdowns are in effect and you are now no longer a part of the Army. Good luck and goodbye. And that was about it. So apart from being highly frustrated, because that was about my entire experience with the military, was being tired and frustrated, I remember going in my car and thinking, the world is literally being shut down by a virus, and I don't even have a job right now. So, time to go do something. So at that time, my wife had been breeding and selling Shiba Inus as part of her side business. She also worked for the Idaho National Guard at the time. And I told her, well, since I've got a lot of spare time, why don't I just do this full time for the moment until I find my next job? Fair enough. So within a few days, packed up a vehicle, drove to Missouri, out to some of our suppliers, picked up the animals, brought them back to Idaho, cleaned them, got them shots, took them to the vet, made sure they were good to go. Found them new families and drove them across the country and made quite a bit of money doing that trip and realized we might have something here. So from then on out, I was driving back and forth from Idaho to the area of just outside of Springfield, Missouri, to Tennessee, Illinois, sometimes to Georgia, Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, a variety of places, back and forth every week, and was making an absolute killing. Now, unfortunately, because of how we expanded our operations, our home in Little Kuna, Idaho, really wasn't sufficient for our needs at the time. So me and my wife decided that we should move and found a home about an hour outside this Nashville, Tennessee, in this little place called Lawrenceburg. Acre lot surrounded by Amish families. And unfortunately, because of marital issues, ended up getting divorced and fell apart. So that would have been, I would say, the second time in my life where my life really fell apart, and ended up deciding, due to circumstances, to move back to Idaho, moved in with family. And it was in that moment when I had absolutely no money, less than $100 to my name. All I owned was this backpack that I literally bought driving to the airport, and some stuff inside the backpack, and that was it. Went out, begged someone to let me borrow their car, and got to work. So after a few months, finalized the divorce. That was in the beginning, early spring, winter of 2022. Finalized divorce a few weeks later. And I decided right then and there that was going to be the last time I was ever going to be in a spot of desperation. So I just went out and started setting goals. And since then, have been building frameworks. Now, I would like to say I'm some immediate comeback story, and that's entirely not true. I am still actively growing and pursuing the goals. But my first goal was to reach $100,000 in income. Gross income was the first step. And it's looking like I'm projecting that in about June, that's when I'll start making that goal. And a lot of that isn't because I'm getting paid great at my job or I found this great new system. It's just blunt force trauma and putting in a ridiculous number of hours is all that really is. And working nonstop to the detriment of relationships, friendships, health, mental health. Don't care. That's what I'm doing. And so what I'm doing here is not trying to sell you a product. Told you, like I said, I'm not here to sell anything. I'm not a guru. I'm nothing special. Turning 37 years old, been exactly 1 month from now, and had to start over at 35. But I started developing frameworks and wanted to ask if you would be interested to join the ride with me. And here's what I've got so far. And here's my plan. And my intent with this community is simply to say, here's what I'm doing. Maybe it'll work for you. In hopes that this will always be free, in hopes that even if no one else will listen, at least it'll change my life. And hopefully we'll find some other people whose lives it'll change as well. But this is what I've got so far. Is that first, financially, you are going to start a budget. Next, you get a job. Thirdly, you skill stack and get a higher paying job. Fourth, create a community. 5, invest in real estate. 6, become debt free. And 7, start a financial planning firm. And beyond that, I guess we will see. So, like I said, I have nothing to sell you. However, if you would like to be a part of a community of people who are working to get there, not the people who have the answers, but the people who are searching for the answers, for people who are willing to work, for people who are willing to sacrifice, and for nothing else, who are wanting to develop themselves into something better every single day. So if you'd like to join me in my community, you are welcome to join. And I will be actively posting. And I promise that if you have any questions or if you have any concerns, that I will find you an answer, even if that answer doesn't come from me, and even if I don't know. So welcome to the Skool Games.